Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Yes, it's indeed a good morning here from our side. And it's another beautiful day, the 10th day in the month of November 2021. And it's about time for the newspaper review, another edition here on Lagoon Radio, your number one online gospel radio station powered by the Diocese of Lagos Anglican Communion. My name is Taiwo Adeola Shabiolekbe, and I'm your host today. And right beside me is Simidele Oke. We'll be doing the review together. But in the meantime, you can like and follow us on Facebook at Lagoon Radio Nigeria. On Instagram and Twitter is at Lagoonradio.Ng for more info and entertainment here 24/7. Well, in no particular order, we've got the Blueprint newspaper, This Day newspaper, the Leadership, Nigerian Tribune, Business Day, the National Economy, Daily Sun, New Telegraph, Daily Assets, Nigerian News Direct, This Nigeria, uh, The Authority, and of course the Nigerian Pilot and Al Jazeera. We'll try as much as possible to cover majority of these papers in a short while. All right, I'll be starting with the Blueprint newspaper. Simidele wants to. Good morning, Simidele.
Good morning, Shab. Good morning to our dear listeners out there. How you doing? Are you feeling all right? And welcome to, I think, the second Wednesday.
Good morning, my neighbors.
The second Wednesday in the month of November, and which is the 10th day of November. So I'll be starting with the Blueprint papers, and boldly written on the Blueprint papers: Electoral Act Amendment, NAS OK's direct primaries, APC concurs, PDP kicks. And we have some riders under that. Lawmakers approve electronic transmission of result. Go and seek people's endorsement, presidency tells aspirants. Wow. And another rider under that, it's undemocratic, says opposition party. You can get all of that on page 6 of the Blueprint papers. And right at the top of the Blueprint papers, federal government proposes 3.13% increase in local government allocation. And the sharing formula will depend on responsibility, says RMAFC. Reps tax security agencies on missing Vanguard reporters. You can get that on page 15 of the Blueprint papers. And the full details of the 3.13% increase in local government allocation can get that on page 6 of the Blueprint papers. And right at the top right hand side of the front page of the Blueprint papers, we have the heading that says Nigerians to pay more for cooking gas. Marketers stop importation. You can get it on page 23 of the Blueprint papers. Nigeria spends $2.2 billion on wheat importation annually, says Buhari. You can get the full details on page 9 of the Blueprint papers. And moving to the bottom of the Blueprint papers, we have a picture there. We have the Senate President, Ahmad Lawan, the Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo, the Chairman of the All Progressive Congress, Caretaker Committee, Yobe State Governor, and the Chairman, Nigeria Governors Forum, and that's the Ekiti State Governor, my own dear State Governor, Kayode Fayemi, during the APC committee meeting on the direct primaries approved by the National Assembly for political parties at the State House in Abuja. The picture was taken yesterday, and the meeting was held yesterday as well. Then moving down to the bottom of the Blueprint papers, Anambra supplementary poll. One dies, security operative, IPOB clash in Ihala. And I think yesterday we talked about the results that was said to be inconclusive, and the election we hold in Ihala yesterday. And now we have a report that one dies, security operative and IPOB clash in the same Ihala. As journalists, others are also trapped. You can get the full details on page 7 of the Blueprint papers. Baby dumped by mother in Makurdi, battles for survival in hospital. How can people be so heartless? Like, I don't understand. You can get that on page 13 of the blueprint papers, as this baby is still battling for survival in the hospital in Makodi. And on page 15 of the blueprint papers, Jigawa Ishbar naps 44 commercial sex workers, confiscates drinks. Can get that on page 15. As MTN leads as Nigerian companies post profits amidst forest crisis. Can get on page 23 of the blueprint papers. And lastly, on blueprint papers, federal government to establish urban farms, small home gardens, says Oshibajo. We can get the full details on page 7 of the blueprint papers.
Thank you very much. Moving on to the leadership newspaper, at the very top of it, federal government states to combat hunger with Operation Feed Yourself. But the story is on the front page, and you can continue reading on page 7 of the paper. Boldly written on the front page, Electoral Act Amendment Bill. APC PDP kick as NAS approves direct primaries. And the right under it says lawmakers okay electronic transmission of election result, use of technology. This you can find on page 4 of the paper. PMB in Paris for Peace Forum, pages 8 of the leadership newspaper. Bandits abduct 14 Zaria local government workers. The story here you can find on page 5. Local government areas get 3% increase in new revenue sharing formula. Also, you can find on page 5 of the leadership newspaper. Pleased to get new salary structure. The story is on page 8. After leadership report, NNPC reverts to Naira charges on port dues. The story is on page 6 of the leadership newspaper. Finally, Soludo wins Anambra governorship poll. APG polls 112 to... Sorry, I'm not really good with numbers. Okay, I'm just going to take the numbers. 112,229 votes. PDP has 53,0807 and APC has 43,285. The story is on the front page, and you can continue reading on page 4 of the leadership newspaper. We can see on the front page the NYSC, I think, parade session. Yes, and that will be all on the leadership newspaper.
I think you need to contact me to teach you how to pronounce numbers.
I know you're good with numbers. So don't worry, I'll be fine eventually.
Sure. Okay, moving on to these day papers. Right at the top, CBN unveils strategy to cut wheat importation by 60% in 2 years. Right under that, initiative to save $2 billion FX annually, as a Senate in resolution condemns invasion of justice or delays home. You can get on that on page 5 of the state papers, and boldly written on those the papers. After Ihala, Soludo emerges Anambra governor-elect, and the right under that says, "I will never disappoint you," says the winner. And the figures for the total votes scored by the frontline parties is actually at the front page of these day papers. And we have right at the bottom, Lagos tops chart as states rigged in 849.12 billion naira IGR in first half. You can get that on page 3 of these day papers, page 8 of the state papers. Then National Assembly okays electronic transmission of results direct primary, expresses optimism that Buhari will sign bill into law, as a PDP kicks, says no party has right to impose its processes on another. The full details is on page 12 of these day papers.
All right, moving on to the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. Bandits kill 7 policemen, burn patrol vehicle in Zamfara. That's at the very top page of the paper. Page 27. You get the story right there. Pastor Odukoya loses wife to cancer. 16 years after losing first wife to plane crash. Wow. Sorry for the loss. The story is on page 5. Attempt to kidnap lawmaker fails as gunmen killed 2 and injure others in Akwa Ibom. This you find on page 27 as well. Boldly written on the front page, Electoral Act. NAS adopts direct primary, APC governors PDP kick. And right under it says, President to get bill within 7 days. APC's tripartite committee meeting ends in deadlock. Governor's push. Governor's push final decision to Buhari. How Osinbajo managed tension. All this you find on page 2 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. Publish outcome of investigation on invasion of Odili's residence. Senate tells IGP. Page 5 of the leadership of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. Third Milan Bridge safe, intact, says federal government. They are signing news says we're carrying false news. There's a part of the bridge that is opening up. And, I was supposed to open the news and but I like the fact that federal government came out to clear it immediately.
Exactly.
To avoid, because I was getting scared already. Honestly, I was like, wait, what were they doing all this while?
Panic attack.
So it's better you correct things like this immediately, like instantly, to avoid, putting people on, because that bridge is like a major link to wherever you're coming from, to wherever you're going to. It's going to be a disaster if anything should happen.
Yeah.
So now the federal government has come to clear the air. They cleared it since yesterday.
Yeah.
And now, so you can get the full story on page 8 of the Nigerian Tribune. Osun Shogbo Shrine gets $127,000 grant. Page 8 of the Nigerian Tribune. Excise duty. Manufacturer has to lose 1.9 trillion naira in 3 years. Page 6 of the Nigerian Tribune. And at the bottom of the paper, roadside organizer gives information on potential victims and kidnapper reviews. And narrates how he got 1.4 million naira from 3 kidnapping incidents in Ekiti State. This you find on page 26. And at the front page, you have there's a picture there. If you get the paper, you get to find out. It's quite tiny. I might not be able to take it. And that'll be all on the Nigerian Tribune newspaper.
Okay, moving on to business day papers. MTN Nigeria, Airtel PSBs to create 1 million direct jobs. Wow. Wow. That's actually good news, as INEC declares Soludo winner in the Anambra poll, scores 112,229 to clinch a victory. So a big congratulations to Soludo on his victory as the Anambra State Governor-elect. Daystar Power connects 7 LP factories to solar energy. I think solar energy is actually the thing out there now. Maybe when the electricity distribution company, when they actually have issues, you could actually fall back on the solar energy, at least to power some things, And to me, I actually buy into the idea of the solar energy. It really makes a lot of sense.
Some minus, you won't run out.
You won't run out of power. So that's the way it is. So I think that's all on business day papers.
All right, the Daily Sun newspaper at the very top right. Bandits kill 7 policemen in Zamfara. A gunman murdered retired NAF officer, abducted 10 local government workers in Kaduna State. These stories you can find on pages 4 and pages 5 of the Daily Sun. IPOB declares sit at home as Kanu appears in court today. The stories on page 4. Invasion of Justice Odili's home. Senate indicts EFCC, AGF, Malami police. Demands disclosure of probe panel's findings. Tasked IGP on missing Vanguard reporter as Rev'd seek investigation. This you can find on page 6. The very right, the paper. Buhari vows to end annual $2 billion wheat importation. Federal government states mall operation Feed Yourself to counter it's quite tiny malnutrition. Can you help me with your glasses?
Which one?
All right.
Okay.
Feed Yourself counter.
Buhari vows to end annual $2 billion wheat importation as a federal government states mall operation Feed Yourself to counter malnutrition.
Okay.
You can get that on page 8 of the...
Thank you. It's good to have 4 eyes. Anambra, affairs gone, battle proceeds, victory dance. On the right under it says Soludo maintains lead, security gunmen exchange fire in Hiala. This you can find on page 13. 2023, Imams others lobby for Middle Belt presidency. PDP group asks Wike to join presidential race. Well,
Wow.
wish him luck. Yeah. This you can find on page 26. It's going to be an interesting one. You might want to find out. Rep someone FCT minister over rising insecurity. Say Abuja has never been this unsafe. This you can also find on page 6. 20 billion naira bailout fund. Kogi Assembly threatens warrant of arrest against bank MD. This you can find on page 2 of the Daily Sun newspaper. NAS PDP APC clash over direct primary, and right under it says lawmakers pass Electoral Act Amendment Bill, include electronic transmission of election results, promise to transmit bill to Buhari to assent in 7 days. This you can find on page 7 of the paper. And at the very bottom of the paper, Nigeria convenes business security summit in Paris. This you can find on page 3. And at the front page, you have pictures of the governor, Abubakar Badar of Jigawa State, Director General, National Information Technology Development Agency, Malami Kashifu Inuwa, Qatar Ambassador to Nigeria, Dr. Hali Ghanem Al-Hajr, and Country Director, Qatar Charity Foundation, AMDI, after signing a partnership agreement in Abuja yesterday. That will be all on the Daily Sun newspaper.
Also, moving on to the national economy, I think I love to talk about anything that has to do with money. Okay, moving on to the national economy. Our federal government woos investors set aside 250 billion naira for to gas assembly plants. You can get that on page 4 of the national economy as part of efforts to ensure that the auto gas conversion of vehicles yielded the desired results. The federal government has actually set aside 250 billion naira for willing investors in auto gas assembly plants in the country. And this particular disclosure was made by the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Mr. Silva, yesterday in Abuja at an auto gas technician training and certification program. And this particular program was organized by the technicians in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Petroleum Resources, National Gas Expansion Program, the Nigerian Institute of Mechanical Engineers, and the Automotive and Locomotive Engineering Institute, amongst others. So you can get the full details on page 4 of the national economy. And boldly written at the front page of the national economy, manufacturers fear 1.9 trillion naira revenue loss. Fourth proposed excise duty introduction. You can get that also on page 4 of the national economy, as the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria says that the proposed reintroduction of excise duty collections on non-alcoholic drinks will actually affect the producers of or their producers rather, and it would actually make them lose up to 1.9 trillion in sales revenue. So I think that's the full details is on page 4 of the national economy. And the leader to watch, we have Adeleye Falade as an accomplished professional at NLNG. You can get that also on page 4. I think there's a lot more to do with page 4 on national economy today. And right on page 5 of the national economy, we have 2 headlines there. States IGR up by 39% to 849 billion naira in 6 months, says NBS. That's on page 5 of the national economy. And lastly, on the national economy, Sanusi calls for legal regulatory framework for Islamic finance. That's also on page 5 of the national economy.
All right, quickly moving on to the New Telegraph newspaper. At the very top, loan, 765 vendors access shares $1.5 billion support fund. Right under it says $800 million worth of contracts awarded in 2020. The story is on the front page, and you can continue reading on page 3. Banks fined 181 million naira over clean note policy violation. The story is on page 17 of the New Telegraph newspaper. Kaduna Christian preaching law. Man can't regulate God Almighty. Khan says. The story is on page 4. Ikoyi building collapse. 21 families submit DNA samples. The story is on page 6. Pandef, 26 years after Saru Wiwa's death, no changes in Niger Delta. This you find on page 3. KSJI honors Onayi Kan, Kalu, Igbini Edon, and others. This you find on page 4 as well. And boldly written on the front page, Electoral Act. Senate passes Conference Committee report. Retains direct primary to political parties. INEC to determine poll result transmission mode. Buhari is to get bill Tuesday as reps endorse direct primary. You can't impose direct primary on us, says PDP. All these stories you can find on pages 3 and pages 8 of the New Telegraph newspaper. And at the very side of it, APC Tripartite Committee meeting on direct primaries deadlock as party awaits on Buhari to take final decision. And at the very bottom of it, allocation, local government to receive more as federal government increases share by 3.13%, says federal government states to share 3.04%. And at the very front, we could see a picture of the New Telegraph Award. Will motivate you to do more for Nigeria, says Diary. The story is on page 4. And at the very bottom is it's a study, too much sleep results in cognitive decline. That's
Agreed.
health matter. So you might want to take a look at it on page 27 of the New Telegraph.
I think that's especially for people that sleep for 12 hours a day.
Are you not going to get tired?
Okay, moving on to daily asset. FCT, 36 states generate 849.1 billion naira in first half of 2021. That's on page 2 of the daily asset. And boldly written, electoral bill. Senate reps adopt e-transmission of result, and right under that, retain direct primaries for political party. And that's also on page 2. As a rep summon FCT minister over recent kidnap cases. That's on page 9 of the daily asset. Niger Judicial Commission of Inquiry on Killings calls for memoranda. That's on page 5. Nigeria and Europe to strengthen ties in research and development. Wow, it's good. The federal government launches Brown Revolution program on wheat. I think wheat is actually the thing, but I don't know. Okay, natural wheat. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Basically, I'm not really a fan of wheat anyway, but maybe I can actually make do with that. I'll try it. Okay. That still on daily asset, economy, insecurity, other challenges top Buhari's agenda in Paris. You can get it on page 2 of daily asset. And lastly on daily asset, and I think that'll be the all on newspaper review for today. On page 8, fire claims 26 children in a Niger school.
All right, I'll just take new ones quickly. New ones that we've not touched. On Nigerian News Direct, we have 26 Noga games to old March 22 in VC. The story is on page 11. Nigeria convenes high-level business investment security summit in Paris. The story is on page 2 of the paper. Afghan soldier, 2 others jailed for cyber fraud in Ilorin. This you can find on page 3. Okay, so Senate President gives MDAs 1 week to defend budget proposals. This you can also find on page 3. Dakuku blast wiki over refusal to pay Rivers students NECO fees. This you can find on page 3 as well. And of course, there are repetition of news there. But these are regulators at NNPC seal MOU with downstream operators. This you find on page 2. And also on page 2, we have insecurity. Bill to establish Center for Control of Harm Skills. Second reading also on page 2 of the Nigerian News Direct. And that will be all we can take on the newspaper review today. The ones we're not able to take, you might actually, go back to our YouTube page to have a to have a rewatch of our newspaper review for today. So thank you very much for being a part of the show. Thank you for being a part of the newspaper review. It comes up every day from 9:30 to 10 o'clock, every day from Monday to Friday. Thank you very much, Simidele. Okay.
Thank you, Sharp.
All right, good. Without much ado, don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at Lagoonradio.Ng. And you can also tell your family and friends to listen via our website on www.LagoonRadio.Ng. Coming right after now is The Moment of Truth by the Venerable Henry Adelegon. It's a beautiful moment you don't want to miss, and it promises to be glorious. Good morning and bye once again.
You are listening to Lagoon Radio.